Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Inside the Den. Today we're going to take a look at Path of Exile, and this is a free-to-play action role-playing MMO. Free-to-play, which is awesome. The graphics are really cool. The game is getting a lot of press and a lot of buzz now that it's entered into open beta. Now, as you know, the reason that even though it's not in full release that I'm doing this review is because the cash shop is open. So I feel if they're making money, then you guys deserve a review of the game. So here we go. Let's get started. As you can see, I got a bunch of different characters here, all different kinds. Marauder, Witch, Marauder on the default league. Now they've got different leagues. Let me talk about that real quick. So we look at the league. Right now we've got Show All, Default, and Hardcore. Now occasionally there'll be different ones that jump on here that are things that the devs will run different contests, like a hardcore race to see who can be the very highest level at the end of like a week, or at the end of a 24-hour period, or at the end of a month, or whatever. So the devs are being really proactive with different events like that. Right now there's not anything going on, so we only have the default or hardcore to look at, but there are a lot of options that will come up, and there's things like that that they will be running. So right now we just have default and hardcore. Now the cool thing is, if you do die in hardcore, all that happens is you're taken back to your nearest kind of little town or village center, and you're reverted to default. So there's not a huge disadvantage for going hardcore, other than the fact that you will lose items that are in your stash, which can be significant, but those items will remain for any other characters that you do create on the hardcore league. Now let's go through the creation process, take a look. Now we have 6 different character classes. Now one thing that you'll see is there's not a lot of customization. We essentially are just going to go through all these character classes, which we've got, the Templar, the Shadow, the Marauder, the Ranger, the Duelist, and the Witch, and that's pretty much it. Now I'm not going to create a new character because I already have plenty created, and I don't want to show you guys a brand new character, so I want to show you guys something that's a little bit deeper in. But each of these have their own kind of starting point in the skill tree. Now, there's no customization where you'll customize with just like a lot of these different action games, is you'll customize once you get in, you start to put different armor and gear on your character. They'll start to get all tricked out and they'll look different and all of that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with my Templar, who's GFY, he's level 14. You can see I've got Jelena Jensen and Heldenfeld and Limpy and all this different stuff. Somebody took my actual Limpy name though. Kind of pissed me off, but I'll live. So let's go ahead and play. We're going to jump in with my Templar. Now one of the cool things is not only do you have the 6 classes, but then once you get in here, look at this skill tree. Somebody once in my streaming called it a skill forest, which I definitely agree with. This thing is huge. Now you can see that each of the different classes will start in one of these different spots, and then they'll have all these nodes to build from, and you can build towards different ones. So right now the Templar, I start over here and I can build in these different directions and build down here towards, this is the Marauder standpoint, or I can build up this way, which I believe is the Witch's standpoint. I can also take and come around the corner, go down this way and get down here, which I can't remember which one this is, but you can see what I'm talking about. You could build towards those by completing different paths. Now these things are all passive. All of these skills are all passive, so whenever you add one of these, like this one, I get 12% increased melee damage. This one I get 10% increased melee damage. This one I get increased physical damage to two-handed weapons. So you've got so many of these to choose from, and it really kind of manages how your character is going to be on the passive side of things. Now as far as when we get out of there, when we want to look at our items, you want to talk about, well, what skills do I have available? So you can see down here in this lower right hand corner, I've got a few skills available to me, and the way that those actually become available is by placing these gems onto my different pieces of gear. And so you see different pieces of gear will have these open sockets, and you'll be able to take and drop in gems into those sockets. Not only with that, once you get multiple gems like this, if they're linked, so if they've got a little line between them, let me go see if I have anything in my stash that has anything that's linked. There we go. So right now, for this sword, for example, if I place a green gem right here and then a red gem here, what will happen is if I place a red support gem after this green gem, then whatever that red gem is that's in support, it will support and change and modify. So like right here, I've got this support gem from one of my other characters. It's melee damage on full life. So it increases my melee damage by 30%. So I can put that on something like my cleave, or something like my ethereal knives. And what that will do is that will increase the damage of the ethereal knives whenever I'm at full life. Now you can get those up to 5 of these different slots on here, so you can really take and get a lot of support gems and really change the way that things really work. Now one thing you'll notice is nowhere on the screen do you see anything for silver or gold or platinum. That's because there's no currency. All the currency is all of these different things here, which you can see I've got a ton of. Not only are these things currency, but the main thing currency is going to be these scroll of wisdoms, but some of these other ones are also going to be currency. Not only are these things currency, but as you notice, they all do different things to your items. For example, this Orb of Augmentation will enchant a magic item with a new random property. Then you've got things like this Orb of Alchemy, upgrades a normal item to a rare item. Then you've got Orb of Fusing, reforges the links between socket on items. So I can take and I can actually use this, and if I wanted to, I could use it right here and actually create a link between these two items. So you've got all kinds of different things on here, and all kinds of different options when it comes to playing with your items. Now you see here I've got this glass blower bubble, and this is going to lead me into flasks. This improves the quality of a flask. And the way healing works is there's no healing class, so you basically use these different flasks down here. Now not only these flasks for healing, but you can see these flasks can also come in blue and yellow and different colors, so they'll also have properties on them that will, like this one for example, whenever I use this one, it's going to give it 22% additional elemental resistance during the flask effect. So it lasts for 6.5 seconds. So for 6.5 seconds, I'll have 22% of my elemental resistance. This one, 20% increased charge recovery, so it recovers faster. Now I also have this one over here, which is a newer flask that just came with open beta. It's Quicksilver Flask, allows me to move really, really fast. So you have a lot of options there. Now this build is actually what they call a two-handed heavy strike sweep zombie build. So I have raised zombies, so I can raise my zombies. Then I've got my heavy strike, and then I've got my sweep. Now we're going to take and we're going to head into one of the different zones. You can see when we click on this little waypoint, whenever you get a waypoint, you're going to have options to go to these different areas. Now you can see right here the way forward, he wants me to find a path to the Emperor's Road. And so that leads me to right here, to the Prisoner's Gate. We're going to go ahead and head there because the monsters are of decent strength, and they'll actually give me a little bit of a challenge. So now every time you enter into one of these areas and every time these zones are reset, they're going to be different. They're going to look random. If you hit tab, it'll bring up your map, and you can see my little waypoint is this little blue one here, and then there's a door over this way if I want to go out that way. Otherwise, there's little arches that are like passageways, and they'll be in kind of a yellowish color. Now you can see up in the top left, it tells me where I am, normal difficulty, because what happens is once I complete all 3 acts under normal difficulty, even in hardcore, then it will advance to cruelty difficulty, and it will keep going up, and there's multiple difficulty levels inside of the hardcore league. So kind of a cool little system right there. But we're going to go ahead and turn off our map. Now you've got some wolves coming after me right now. Now I'm going to kind of bottle these up because I like to use my sweep, and my sweep is pretty powerful, so I can take and just drop a whole bunch of these guys all at once. So just like that. So I just kind of go and use a little bit of AoE here. Now there's a lot of AoE options as far as the game is concerned. So you kind of want to play with that and see what you want to use, what kind of fits your play style. And you can see right now, even though I'm a Templar, I do start with a decent amount of mana. We go ahead and use our healing potion here, get ourselves up a little bit of health. And of course our health and our mana regenerates naturally, but we're going to go ahead and help it along with our potion. So you can see right now, I'm just kind of cruising around, taking these monsters out. You can see the game is very responsive. You've got cool little effects, like when these little fire wolves, or what are they called, the Hyena Helion. Whenever I take one of those down, they drop these little spots of fire on the ground. So if I stand in those, I'm actually going to burn. But one of the cool things is you can zoom in pretty far, so you can see this cool little mask, and everything is going to look very similar to what you actually have in your inventory. So you can see there, that's got like kind of a little mask look, and then you can see all my different gear. But you go in here, you can see I basically have kind of these little shoes on, and these gloves look essentially kind of leather-like, and look at this mask, looks just like that on my face. They did a really, really good job of doing that that piece of the game, to where the things that you put on your body will actually look like that on your character. Now we have this item here, this yellow item, that's unidentified. So we're going to go ahead and we use our Scroll of Wisdom. We go ahead and right-click that, and we're getting a little bit of lag. There we go. And we can go ahead and we take and we identified that by using that scroll of wisdom. Now when we highlight over that, we can see here all the different things it does. So 9% increase to spell damage. This is actually pretty good. Increased physical, 1 to 9 lightning damage. You got a lot of different things on here that are really, really cool. You can also get items that have increase to your item find, so those become very valuable later on. We're getting some crazy lag. Now I don't want to die to lag, so I'm gonna go head over this way a little bit. Try and get this to calm down. So you can see even the monsters can come in a blue variety as well, and obviously if they come in a blue variety, they also come in a yellow variety, they also come in an orange variety or red variety. And so the more difficult the monster, the deeper the color. So the red monsters are going to be the most difficult. But you can see you've got all these different lush landscapes. The next area that we're going to enter into is kind of this Pirates Cove area, and it's got wrecked pirate ships and a lot of ghosts and ghost pirates and stuff like that roaming around. You've also got a forest area that's going to have a lot of like forest type creatures and bandits and things of that nature, and then things really get kind of different when you get to the areas where you've got after you get to past this Act 1 and get into Act 2. And that's where monsters get really crazy, like these giant eyeballs that'll shoot laser beams and stuff like that at you. So things get pretty nuts, but you kind of have some quests that'll help you along, but you can keep rerunning areas to kind of take it a little bit slower, especially, when you're in these hardcore sections, you want to take it a little bit slower because, when you die, you're not dead permanently, but hey, you know what? You're no longer in the hardcore section. You lose all the gear on that character. So you kind of want to take it a little bit easy if you can, and be a little cautious. Use your potions, even if it's a little bit excessive, and take it nice and slow through the map. Not take on too much more than you can actually. Don't bite off too much more than you can chew. So let's see, what else can we talk about? So now I talked about the skills that you put actually inside of your different items here. So let's go back to that real quick and let me show you something. So you see this heavy strike. Now you see attack melee, and then you've got level 5. So every time you level up this item, you can see that little bar down there. It has its own experience. So we can take a look at some others, see where they are in their leveling process, and they've all got a little ways to go before they're going to level up. But when they level up, they're more effective. Like it says, 16% increase to physical damage, knocks enemies back on hit, 30% reduced enemy stun threshold. So you get additional attributes, you get additional little pieces, and then also they will increase in damage production and effectiveness. So you want to be careful though, because sometimes you can out-level yourself and actually create items that are fairly powerful, but if you're not paying attention, what can essentially happen is you won't have enough mana to actually cast the spells very often. Then you'll just sit there and you'll be pounding on mana potions all the time, and that's not too much fun. So you want to kind of pay attention and not really put yourself in a position to where you overdo it with your leveling up. Now some characters, like the one nice thing with this Templar, is they actually get a decent amount of mana and intellect to start out. So he's gonna progress through, and if you notice, I haven't really been having any mana problems. But one thing that I do want to do is I want to turn my anger on, and that's gonna actually reduce my mana a little bit, because by having that anger on, I'm actually getting this little buff right here. So you do have a lot of different buffs, and that gains additional fire damage. But as you can see down there, I've got this it needs a mana reserve. So it requires me to actually have a mana reserve to be able to use that aura. So essentially, I have to take and give up some of my mana to be able to take and have that possible. Now moving along, let's take a look. We've got our social stuff here, so you can see there's all the different people that are watching or that are playing right now. We've got Oh My God and Drop Bear, and all these different people are playing right now. There's a bunch more that are offline right now, so you can see all of them right there. You can create a party. You can see public parties. So these are all parties that have been created that are public, and anybody can join. So we could say, okay, well, we want to join this one, so we can go ahead and click on it, see who's playing in it, see what level they are, see what class they are, and hit join. We're not going to do that right now. We can also refresh, or we can create a public here, or we can refresh or update to see what new ones are there. You can also write in your own little thing, which I kind of tout my live streaming, and then I'm live streaming there. So kind of some cool options there. Then you have your normal options, which is under O. Then if we hit U, we bring up our world map, which also shows our different quests, the way forward. So he wants us to take and progress, like it said, through the different areas and into the Emperor's Road and into the inland forest it leads to. So we got a little ways to go before we actually get there, but that will kind of lead our way to Act 2 and to one of the harder bosses of the first act, and that'll also lead to, you know, when we get to the harder bosses, what does that lead to? Always leads to loot. That's right. So you always want fat loots. Now, one thing that I haven't been doing is bringing out my little skeletons. So there we go. I'm sorry, zombies. So these little zombies will take and do a lot of my bidding. Now, luckily, this was fairly linear. Oh, so she actually blocked my way. So I got to find another way to get to the forest. So now that'll bring up another quest. So now we've got to go down this way and kind of open things up. All right, let's get that out of there. We're going to go take all these guys out in a sweep or two. And there we go. Down they go. Now, you may notice that there's a lot of chests and a lot of boxes, and unfortunately there are a lot of them, but they mainly drop a lot of white weapons and a lot of white gear that you're not essentially going to use. So there you go. There's your first look at a yellow creature, even though he didn't actually drop anything interesting. A lot of times they do. You can also find, like I said before, you can also find gear that will help you to up the chance that you find some stuff that's really good. I usually grab all the medium flasks and rings anytime I'm cruising around and picking up gear, because they're really, really small and they're easy to trade for scrolls of wisdom, which come in really handy when you need to identify stuff or you're looking to actually buy other stuff. And you can see I was able to res that zombie from really far away, which is really kind of an awesome tool. So you can kind of lead monsters, and there's a lot of strategy and different ways to play the game. For example, there's a lot of people that I know that are using bows on characters that are not rangers, you know, and they'll take, and you can change it up like that. You don't have to follow suit. The game gives you so much freedom, and that's one thing that I really like, is that the game does give a lot of freedom when creating your character and how you want to do things. You're really open to do things as however you want to do it. You're not stuck to following an exact class type, so to say, or you're not stuck not being able to do anything, doing anything that you really want to do. Other than if you really want certain skills and they're really far on the passive skill tree, then you're kind of stuck. Well, I just got this Regal Orb, which these are very valuable because, as you can see, it'll upgrade a magic item to a rare item. This will actually take and upgrade like this blue to a yellow. So we're going to go ahead and use that and see what happens. Oh, I actually have to take it off, and then I have to take my gem out, and then I can use it. There we go. It's now a yellow item, so increases the physical damage even more. 6% increased attack speed, +2 life gain for each enemy that hits by my attacks. So it didn't really do too much, but it did. I did want to show you guys what that does, and it is, like I said, it is a very valuable gem. But this is going to be a piece of gear that I'm probably going to use for a little while. Let's get some more minions up here. There we go. Let's head over this way and see what's over here. And you can see that there's not just a generic type of monster either. There's all kinds of different monsters, from spellcasters. Also, you'll see there's also a lot of ranged guys that'll be using bows and different things like that. What's really odd is they all use bows. None of them use crossbows. So, but hey, whatever. There's only bows on this in this world. So, but you essentially had the storyline is you've essentially been cast away. You are in exile, so that's why you're here. I think it's really funny that I brought zombies out of those little kind of sand creatures and they turned into full humanoid zombies. Hey, whatever. I'm not gonna sit there and complain. As long as I have my zombies that can do my bidding. Now, pretty soon I will take and I will start focusing on getting my zombies up in life. As you can see, they're dying pretty quick, but that's okay because I don't really mind that they die so quick. They're just here to be kind of pawns or cannon fodder a little bit. Oh, I'm out of mana. So there we go. Let's use up our mana potion. Didn't get close enough to get all the boxes. But a lot of you, I'm sure, will essentially not be using the map up like I am right now. I kind of like to use it because it gives me an idea of where I'm going, if I'm going the right direction, or if I'm about to hit a dead end. So I have a tendency to leave it up, and it doesn't really bother me too much. I think that transparency is done really well, and the basic setting for that transparency is not too overbearing for my tastes. All right, so let's get these zombies up. All right, here we go. We got there we go. So here's a little red boss monster. we're going to go ahead and we're going to start pounding kind of on our... Woo! He exploded, dropped a whole bunch of crap, and really did a lot of fire damage. Get all these guys together. Come on. What's really cool is you can see like how they have the animations of these things coming out of the ground. I think they did a really good job with stuff like that. Let's get this medium mana flask. So we've got a couple flasks here that we want to use. So let's see. We want to take and identify them. Medium life flask. So there we go. We're going to drop that into that space. And then we need to identify this one. And 50% increase in recovery. Or increased recovery speed, sorry. So there we go. So we got all that. And the cool thing is as you've noticed that the gear that's dropping and stuff like that, there's a really wide variety of gear. And there's also, you know, sometimes there's chainmail and sometimes there's scale mail, and it all looks different, which they really did a good job of making sure that all that stuff looks really, really different and will look different on your character when you do equip it as well. Head over this way. Now, as far as you notice that I don't have to pay for anything, or I don't have to really do anything to regenerate the mana or the health in my potions. Essentially what happens is as I kill these monsters, that stuff automatically fills up. So it's kind of cool. I don't really have to worry about that. Essentially it's like sucking the life or the mana out of these monsters. You can also see, oh, just leveled up. So we'll take out this Cruel Feast real quick. Let's get out of the way. Let's head over here. And now we can head and we can assign our point. We're going to do this one. Body and Soul increases my armor by 20%. Increases my maximum energy shield, which you see down in the bottom right-hand corner is that blue line around my health bar. And plus 10% to all elemental resistances. So that'll really help with those fire guys. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And there we go. So let's go a little bit further. Find our way to the next little zone, hopefully, before I run out of time. Let's take this guy out. Love that my gear's doing this little fire damage now, as well as these guys. Pick up this Scroll of Wisdom. We should be pretty close to our destination here after we open all of these crates. Let's see if we can speed up. We can use our Quicksilver Potion, kind of round up a bunch of these guys all at once, and then just start sweeping away. And as you can see, I didn't take a lot of damage there, because, like I said, that new skill that I have, or that new skill that I just picked up, the passive one, actually takes and gives me that extra resistance. So, ooh, that's a helmet. I've been looking for a new helmet. So let's see. Maybe that's just what I've been looking for. So let's go in here. Let's see. Armor 32 instead of evasion rating 14. We got plus 37% to accuracy, which comes in really, really handy. Now, unfortunately, the difficulty is that that's where I have a couple of my gems, my zombie gem and my anger gem, and I don't have anywhere else I can put those right now. So I kind of got to hang tight on that. I do like that helmet, but I want to hang tight because I want to be able to use my zombies, even though I'm not resurrecting any zombies for you guys right now. I seem to be lacking in the zombie department. So let's get them out here. Let's go, zombies. But there we go. We use our Quicksilver, haul butt through here, gather up. We can also use that, like I said, to gather and get all these guys kind of circled up so I can just drop a bomb on them with my sweep. Couple little spins to win, so to say. And there we go. Those guys are all dead, and so are my zombies. Let's get those guys up again. Now later on, I will have also some skeletons that I'll use. So it's really cool. You can have all kinds of pets, as well as all kinds of different skills and all of that good jazz. So we gotta be close, man. Oh, we got a big group of monsters down here. And those leaping lilies are coming after us. I don't even know what to call these things. They're bearded devils, but they don't really look like bearded devils. Let's just kill them. Oops. Just plowed through my my health potion. Let's see, up here maybe? There it is. So there's the exit onto the ship's graveyard, but I'm going to cruise back over this way, take out the rest of these monsters. One thing that I almost forgot to cover, PvP. So the game does have PvP, and that's one of the things that a lot of people have been really worried about, has been lacking in a lot of games of this type that have come out in the recent past. But no, Path of Exile made sure to have PvP. You will have access to PvP once you reach the second little town area. So you're going to reach that in kind of your mid-teens, and then you'll be able to get into PvP, start taking on your fellow adventurers, start beating the crap out of each other, and earning your way up the PvP ladder as well. So I almost forgot to cover that, but I caught it right at the last minute to remember to give you guys that little bit of info that the game does have PvP, which I know is something that a lot of you guys have really been hoping for in a game of this style, this isometric style of game. So there you go, it does have PvP. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's trip inside the den. Don't forget to subscribe and keep yourself updated as each new episode is released. And don't forget to like and comment on these videos, as we really do appreciate that feedback. If you'd like to play or learn more about Path of Exile, you can read our full review at MMODen.com or just click the link in the description. Till next time, thanks for watching.